2, line maintenance planning. Line maintenance proposal. Subject Amte 326, Section 5B. Group members, Baldonado, Bungabong, Dahero, De Guzman, Martin, Nieva, Pandong, and Sabatero. Overview. A proposal regarding line maintenance planning will be discussed further in this presentation, starting with the Line Maintenance Operation Program document, which generally refers to minor, scheduled, and unscheduled maintenance carried out on aircraft that includes preparing and readying an aircraft for flight during a period of service. Afterwards, line maintenance operation packages will be tackled specifically for the aircraft Cessna 172. Finally, at least 3 per CPM will be presented as well as planning recommendations regarding line maintenance operations will be discussed. Line maintenance. Line maintenance plays a key role in the airworthiness of an aircraft. It is any maintenance task which can be performed outside of a hangar except for situations that it becomes mandatory. Tasks related to line maintenance are relatively straightforward and often involve routine in-service inspection, daily check actions, troubleshooting, and rectification. Line maintenance must be in operating environment, for example, the hangar, tarmac, and other places that that can be done by line maintenance and is substantially fit to fly subject to specific replacements of any component designated as a line replaceable unit. Line maintenance operation program document. This document tells what specific line maintenance task would be made for a particular aircraft in a daily and or a weekly check. The same document also specifies components known as LRU, line replaceable unit, on which replacements can be done during the line maintenance operation. A daily check is performed anywhere from every 24 to every 48 hours. A weekly check is performed every 7 to 8 days. Apart from that, there may be several OOP out of phase maintenance tasks which can be considered to be line maintenance and carried out by a line maintenance provider. Maintenance program is a document containing the maintenance requirements that needs to be carried out of an aircraft in order to ensure its containing airworthiness. Schedules will give a list of tasks with the intervals quoted in units of flight hours, flight cycle, or flight calendar time.
Line maintenance operation packages. Line maintenance operation package on aircraft Cessna 172. This line maintenance package provides the operator with packaging options for fleet maintenance program, increase production efficiency, increase aircraft availability, and reduce production costs. Line maintenance operation packages consideration. Here we have three line maintenance operation packages consideration. First consideration is operational, second is commercial, and third is technical. Under operational consideration, we will tackle route structure, flight length, frequency of flight. Under commercial consideration, we will tackle traffic patterns, seasonal constraints. Under technical consideration, we will tackle manpower skills and tooling. Route structure. There are four major optimization problems in the airline industry, including flight scheduling problem, fleet assignment problem, crew pairing problem, and aircraft maintenance routing problem. These problems have been widely studied over the past few decades. Here we have the question of where to fly the aircraft profitably subject to fleet availability constraints. So, route planning and evaluation selects route flown for a given fleet using three considerations. First consideration is strategic importance. Considerations may override profit concerns. Example is market presence. Second consideration is economic importance. The major economic criterion for selecting the route is its potential to increase profitability in the short term against the opportunity cost of taking aircraft from another route. Third consideration is practical importance. Consider airline's key internal factors. Second operational consideration is the flight length. The flight length is defined as the distance of a flight. Performing a line maintenance check ensures that an aircraft is airworthy and safe to continue service. Aircraft need line maintenance every 24 to 60 hours of accumulated flight time, but it depends on the operator of the aircraft. Third operational consideration is flight frequency. The number of flights operated by an airline within a specific time period, such as a day or week. Flight frequency is how many services in a set time period an airline may provide. The number of hours is flown, the number of takeoffs and landings, requirements by aviation regulators, and our own policies determine when and what type of maintenance we do. Inspecting things like wheels, brakes, and fluid levels are done during transit checks. Plus, any running repairs that the aircraft tells us is it needs 2,000 of onboard sensors. These happen around the world and around the clock.
First, commercial considerations. Traffic patterns. Aircraft route should be constantly on alert for other aircraft in traffic patterns and avoid these areas whenever possible. When operating at an airport, traffic pattern altitudes should be maintained unless otherwise required by the applicable distance from cloud criteria. Traffic patterns are established to separate aircraft to provide an orderly flow of air traffic at non-towered airports. Second, commercial considerations. Seasonal constraint. In aviation, the demand for air traffic grows at a higher rate than the capacity. As the demand is predicted to continue to grow also in the future, so is the problem of capacity shortage. If the capacity cannot match the demand, it will result in congestion and delay. Thus, it is crucial for the airport to handle these fluctuations to avoid congestion and delays in several parts of the airport. First, technical considerations. Manpower skills. Line maintenance workload are demanded of and experienced by individual maintenance employees. Thus, it is the responsibility of the maintenance organization to ensure that manpower available is more than adequate to meet all necessary tasks. This consideration also minimizes airline crew costs and to plan the most use wider range of manpower skills like today, the aviation industry is down. So some of the airline companies are firing some of their staff to lessen the cost. Second technical consideration, tooling. Line maintenance services must be provided at any airport to which an operator flies, including those with very limited facility. Therefore, any maintenance provider who plans to open various line stations for their customer must take into account the very limited space which they will have available to them. Quite often, a line station is certified only in a specialized van. Typically, this is fairly large vehicle equipped with a set of tools, some basic parts, and consumable materials such as oil and grease. Tooling. All tools, equipment, and vehicles must be properly maintained so that workers are not endangered. Construction regulations require inspection of vehicles, tools, machines, and equipment before use. Line maintenance operation PERT CPM Chart 1. PERT CPM stands for Project Evaluation and Review Technique. Based on the assumption that an activity's duration follows a probability distribution instead of being a single value. Pre-time estimate are pessimistic time the activity would take if things did not go well. Most likely time, the consensus best estimate of the activity's duration. Optimistic time, the time of the activity would take if things did go well. Determines the task times activity on mode network, repetitive nature of the job. Task 1. Examine stars for excessive creep, flats, bulges, pressure, loss, etc. Check wheels, brakes, struts, axles, and stays for damage, distortion, and fluid leakage. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task 2. Examine landing gear, attachments, and vicinity for damage, distortion, and movement of rivets and bolts. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. Task 3. Use a wrench to check that the bolts do not rotate. The duration of this task is 26 minutes. Task 4. The strut should rotate on the bushing without bolt movement. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task 5. Pivot bolt rod and inspection points hollow with rock rods can corrode internally and break during the gear cycle, jamming or causing a gear collapse on landing. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task 6. Main tasks are 6.0. Tire proportion will reduce. 6 ply with max PSI of 38. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. Task 7. The brake pads and brake system needs to be cleaned always. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task 8. Engine must be maintained the smooth movements of components inside. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task 9. Repair the damages of the engine parts that doesn't reach the required condition. The duration of this task is 60 minutes. Task 10. They should maintain the 56-gallon total usable fuel, 5 drains in each tank, 3 drains underneath cowl, 4 fuel reservoir, fuel strainer, fuel selector valve. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. Task number 11. The oil system limits must be minimum 5 quarts, maximum of 8 quarts, temperature 100 degree to 245 degree. Idle pressure 20 psi, normal pressure 50 to 90 psi, max pressure 115 psi. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. Task 12. This preventive maintenance checks protects against erosion, corrosion, and rust. The fluid can continue to properly cool, transmit power, and contain contaminants. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task 13. They should also maintain and use MILH 5606 red. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. Task number 14. It must be checked and make sure to maintain 28-volt DC system, 60 ampere alternators, 24-volt battery in engine compartment. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. Task number 15. The pitot heat must be checked. Alternate static source must be working. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task number 16. No prop the ice. Increase RPM to shed ice so make sure the RPM can shed the ice. No leading edge protection, no windshield protection, no tail protection. The duration of this task is 30 minutes. Task number 17. The primarily controls all utilize direct cable connections so make sure that the cables are working and in good condition. Flaps equals 10 degree. Landing flaps equals 30 degree. The duration of this task is 20 minutes. The total time is 460 minutes or 7.77 hours. The critical path is equal to 466.
Line maintenance operation per CPM chart. Examine tires for excessive creeps, flats, bulges, pressures, loss, etc. Check wheels, brake, strut, axles, and stays for damage, distortion, and fluid leakage. The duration of task 1 is 30 minutes. Task 2. Examine landing gear attachments and vicinity for damage, distortion, and movement of rivets, bolts. The duration of task 2 is 20 minutes. Use a wrench to check that the bolts do not rotate. The duration of task 3 is 26 minutes. Task 4. The strut should rotate on the bushing without bolt movement. The duration of task 4 is 30 minutes. Pivot bolt rod and inspection points hollow rotate reacts rods can internally and break during the gear cycle, jamming and causing a gear collapse on landing. The duration of task 5 is 30 minutes. Main tires are 6.0 to 6. Tire proportion wheel radius. 6 ply with max PSI of 38. The duration of task 6 is 20 minutes. The brake pads and brake system needs to be cleaned always. The duration of task 7 is 30 minutes. Task 8. Engine must maintain the smooth movement of component inside. The duration of task 8 is 30 minutes. Repair the damage of the engine parts that doesn't reach the required condition. The duration of task 9 is 60 minutes. Task 10, change the filter. The duration of task 10 is 30 minutes. Task 11, they should maintain the 53-gallon total usable fuel, 5 drain in each tank, 3 drains underneath cowl 4 fuel reservoir, fuel strainer, and fuel selector valve. The duration of task 11 is 20 minutes. The oil system limits must be minimum of 5 quarts, maximum of 8 quarts. Temperature is 100 degree to 45 degrees. Idle pressure is 20 psi. Normal pressure is 50 to 90 psi. Max pressure is 115 psi. The duration of task 12 is 20 minutes. These preventative maintenance check protect against corrosion, erosion, and rust. The fluid can continue to properly cool, transmit power, and contain contaminants. Task 13, the duration of task 13 is 30 minutes. They should also maintain and use MIL-H-5606-RED. Task 14, duration of task 14 is 20 minutes. It must be checked and make sure to maintain 28 volt DC system, 60 amperes alternators, 24-volt battery in engine compartments. The duration of task 15 is 20 minutes. Task 16, the pitot heat must be checked. Alternate static source must be working. Duration of task 16 is 30 minutes. No prop the ice increase RPM to shed ice, so make sure the RPM can shed the ice. No leading edge protection, no windshield protection, no tail protection. The duration of task 17 is 30 minutes. Primary controls all utilities direct cable connections, so make sure that the cables are working and in good condition. TO flaps is 10 degrees, landing flaps is 30 degrees. The duration of task 18 is 20 minutes. Check the fuel switches. The duration of task 19 is 5 minutes. Check the different flight controls. The duration of task 20 is 40 minutes. Total time is 541 minutes or 9.02 hours. The critical path is 541 minutes.
Line maintenance operation per CPM chart 3. Task 1. Examine tires for excessive grip, flats, bulges, pressure, loss, etc. Check wheels, brakes, struts, axles, and stays for damage, distortion, and fluid leakage. The duration of task 1 is 30 minutes. Examine landing gear attachments and vicinity for damage, distortion, and movements of rivets and bolts. The duration of task 2 is 20 minutes. Use a wrench to check that the bolts do not rotate. The duration of task 3 is 26 minutes. The struts should rotate on the bushing without bolt movement. The duration of task 4 is 30 minutes. Task 5. Pivot bolt, rod, and inspection points hollow retract rods can corrode internally and break during the gear cycle, jamming or causing a gear collapse on landing. The duration of task 5 is 30 minutes. Task 6. Main tires are 6.00 to 6 Tire proportion wheel radius. 6 ply with max of PSI of 38. Task 6, duration 20 minutes. Task 7, the brake pads and brake system needs to be cleaned always. The duration of task 7 is 30. Task 8, engine must maintain the smooth movements of the components inside. The duration of task 8 is 30 minutes. Task 9, repair the damages of the engine parts that doesn't reach the required condition. The duration of task 9 is 60 minutes. Task 10, clean the spark plug. The duration of task 10 is task 11, change the filters. The duration of task 11 is 30 minutes. Task 12, they should maintain the 53-gallon total usable fuel. 5 drains in each tank, 3 drains underneath cowl for fuel reservoir, fuel strainer, fuel selector valve. The duration of task 12 is 20 minutes. Oil system limits must be minimum of 5 quarts, maximum of 8 quarts, temperature 100 degree to 245 degree, idle pressure of 20 psi, normal pressure 50 to 90 psi, max pressure 115 psi. The duration of task 13 is 20 minutes. This preventive maintenance check protect against erosion, corrosion, and rust. The fluid can continue to properly cool, transmit power, and contain contaminants. The duration of task 14 is 30 minutes. Task 15. They should also maintain the use of MIL-H-5606 red. The duration of task 15 is 20 minutes. Task 16. It must be checked and make sure to maintain 28-volt DC system, 60 amp alternators, 24-volt battery in engine compartment. The duration of task 16 is 20 minutes. Task 17. The pitot heat must be checked. Alternate static source must be working. The duration of task 17 is 30 minutes. No prop the ice, increase RPM to shed ice, so make sure the RPM can shed the ice. No leading edge protection, no windshield protection, no tail protection. The duration of task 18 is 30 minutes. Primary controls all utilize direct cable connection, so make sure that the cables are working and in good condition. TO flaps 10 degrees, landing landing flaps 30 degrees. The duration of task 19 is 20 minutes. Task 20, clean fuel switches. Check fuel switches. The duration of task 20 is 5 minutes. Task 21, check the different flight controls. The duration of task 21 is 40 minutes. Total time of 556 minutes or 9.27 hours with a critical path of 500. Line maintenance operation planning recommendation. Student recommendation from Baldonado Rian Carmichael M. As a student of PAT's College of Aeronautics BSAMT, I recommend that the operator should monitor the effectiveness of the maintenance by developing a reliability program. This includes failure of data, analysis to identify the problem, and or lessen the failure assumption. It will lead to taking effective actions easily after task frequencies. Student recommendations from the Hera Ronaldo. As a student of BSAMT, I recommend of a thoroughly study on how to make proper maintenance schedule in order to make the workflow more efficient without any hindrances that can lower the quality and quantity of work of the mechanic.
Student recommendation from Pandong Michael Rian. As a student of BSAMT, I recommend more specific teaching in line maintenance, especially for new aircrafts. Apply the use of modern technology for easier and different work. Conduct more seminars about maintenance. Student recommendation from Bongabong Kenneth Vincent. As a student of BSAMT, I highly recommend that the next set of batches must enhance their knowledge in regards to real-time software communication. In a reason that line maintenance is at its best when sharing information in real time, in which each maintenance staff is equipped with smartphones on which modern applications allow them to see task assignments, task information, enter their job status, report defects, and interact with their maintenance department in real time and at any time during the day. Student recommendation from Martin Luis Miguel. As a student of BSAMT, I highly recommend that you should be consistent and must focus on meeting the requirements for airplanes maintenance. It's important, that's why it must be done as much as possible. Student recommendation from De Guzman Joseph. As a BSAMT student, I highly recommend that the next batch of students that will do this proposal is that they must gain knowledge of the line maintenance and be accurate on the time scheduling. And I highly recommend the next batch of students to gain and add more information on how the line maintenance work in the field of an aircraft mechanic.
Student recommendations from Nueva Paulo. As a student of BSAMT, I highly recommend the consistency that maintenance programs follow in dealing with aircrafts, even though more information and updates would be added for such based on certain need and purpose. It is important for maintenance planning to be established well for the sake of efficiency and effectiveness. Student recommendations from Sabater King Paulus. As a BSAMT student, I highly recommend that we should meet the requirements to maintain the airworthiness of the aircraft and always double check the task that is given to us. The mechanics should also have the proper knowledge and always be updated for the new technology or features of the aircraft, on how to repair it and avoid skipping the required inspection of the aircraft. This is the references of our PowerPoint.